What's going on, everybody? My name's CakeyC and welcome to the channel. So if you want to find out the best class setup for the Grau in either Warzone or multiplayer, stick around, we're going to go through both of them in this video. If you enjoyed the video at any point or you find any of the information helpful, drop a like on it down below, and as always feel free to subscribe to the channel for all of the latest Call of Duty news, tips and tricks, how-tos and much more. So let's get straight into the video. So one of the hottest topics of the week has been the Grau nerf that happened in patch 1.23. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on what they did to the Grau in that nerf, but I'll give you a quick refresher just in case. They reduced the damage and the range on the two viable barrels for Warzone, the Archangel and the Nexus, and they also reduced the damage range on the base Grau, and they made the recoil slightly less manageable on the base Grau also. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on what they did to the Grau in the nerf, mainly for two reasons. There's been a lot of information and research put out there already this week, so I'm sure everyone's pretty aware on the ins and outs of what they did to the Grau in patch 1.23. And the second reason, well, I don't really know how to put this, it didn't work. The nerf didn't work, guys. The Grau is still the king of Warzone. Yes, okay, it can be argued it's not as good at range, but you'll see in some of the gameplay, it doesn't really make much difference. The one thing that may be noticeable to some players is the recoil, especially at those long distances. So with that being said, let's jump straight into the video and have a look at the class setup that you can be using on the Grau in Warzone that's going to compensate for any recoil that they added to this gun. So as always, let's have a quick look at the class itself before we jump onto the actual gun. So at the moment I'm running the combat knife. I've found for me personally it's been helping me move away from the gas quicker, allowing me for a little bit more time looting. Obviously this is gonna be marginal, it's probably not noticeable, but personally that's what I'm using. Getting that second loadout for the SMG or the sniper is pretty much guaranteed anyway. Moving on to the perks, EOD, Ghost, Battle Hardened. I do swap between Battle Hardened and Amped. Depends how I'm feeling. Obviously these are going to be down to your personal preference. If you run Overkill at the start of the game, that is absolutely fine as well. And then the lethal is still the C4 and the tactical is still the heartbeat sensor. And again, I know a lot of people have been running different lethals and tacticals at the moment. I know that the flash grenades are pretty hot at the moment. I even got gassed the other day. I don't know what's going on there, but people are starting to move away from the meta of the heartbeat sensor, and I think that is pretty good. People are evolving, they're advancing. Let's move away from just running around with this little thingy in your hand showing where everyone is. So with the boring stuff out the way, let's jump into the gunsmith and have a look at how we can compensate for any of that additional recoil. So I'm going to go through the first three attachments pretty quickly just because they haven't really changed since the pre-patch meta build. So we've got the Monolithic Suppressor. I'm not going to go into any detail here, this is still the king in the muzzle slot. Moving on to the barrels, the Drifter and the MK2 are still completely useless. And I'm using the Archangel mainly because I need the iron sights because I have completely no skill. For me, the 60 round mags are fine. There's been a lot of research on this. A lot of people have been trying to say that the 50 round mags are faster. Unless you live your life in frames per second, there is no difference. So the last two slots is where the differences now come in this post-nerf build. I used to run the Ranger Foregrip, and then to compensate for any ADS penalty from the Foregrip underbarrel, I would then use the TAC laser. But in this build, we're going to use the Commando Foregrip because we don't want any ADS penalties, because we're not going to have the availability to use the TAC laser. And then the main feature of this less recoil build is the rear grip. So there is a little bit of debate between which grip you should use. Cronen Sniper Elite does suggest that it adds aiming stability, but does anyone really know what aiming stability is in COD? And then the FTAC R89 rubber grip states that it adds recoil control. So we jumped into a private match and had a look at what these grips actually do. We compared the Cronen Sniper Elite and the rubber grip to the base Grau, and the findings from our delicate research was that the rubber grip gives us the most recoil control. So that's why we've chucked that on. So there we have it, guys. There is the overview of this gun setup at the moment. We got the Monolithic, the Archangel, the Commando Foregrip, the 60 round mags, and then this new rubber grip on the back just to give you more recoil control and make that new Grau feel like the old Grau. So before we jump onto the multiplayer side of things, we'll take a quick look at the VLK optic, because I found out something interesting about this optic. I decided to look at the recoil pattern on the base Grau versus the Grau with the VLK 3x Optic, and it's pretty clear to see that the VLK Optic will add some recoil control to the Grau. It doesn't say that in the gunsmith, it just says it adds zoom level and ADS speed penalties. But for some reason, there is a hidden recoil control with this VLK Optic, and I've seen a lot of people opting for this instead. So if you wanted to see slightly better over distances, you could swap out that rubber grip with the VLK 3x Optic. I think that is personal preference, but both of them builds are going to be completely viable. So that's the best class setup for Warzone, but let's not neglect all the multiplayer players. Let's get straight into it. Bang, class setup, Renetti, EOD, Ghost, Shrapnel, Semtex, Stim. Onto the gunsmith. We've got the Monolithic Suppressor, Tempest Archangel Barrel, Commando Foregrip, 60 round mags. The only difference here between the Warzone setup and the multiplayer setup is that we're going to take the stock off. Obviously, taking off the stock is going to give us the movement speed and the ADS speed. It is going to add additional recoil, but on multiplayer, you're not going to notice that much anyway. So there we have it, guys. Those are the two best class setups for the Grau in either Warzone or multiplayer at the moment. Drop a like on the video if you found any of this information helpful. Let me know down in the comments below what attachments you use on the Grau if you are using it in Warzone. If you're not, let me know what you are using in Warzone. And I've been getting up a few class setups on the channel recently. If you want to check out the CR56 AMAX class setup, I'll put it on the end screen so you guys can have a look. And as always, feel free to subscribe to the channel for all of the latest Call of Duty news, tips and tricks, how-tos, and much more.